Someone once said, "Do not seek to follow in the footsteps of the wise, but seek what they sought." Well, hello, good morning everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's really a beautiful day today as well. I've got a bit of mist in this woodland. It's a place that I've not been to before, but it is a place that other photographers and other artists have been to before. The place that I'm trying to get to initially on this walk is a place called Denham Bridge, and it was sketched by no other than himself, the great J.W.M. Turner. But it's not his work that we're trying to discover. It's not trying to copy the work of great people that have gone before us. It's about discovering our own work, discovering locations for ourselves. Something that I talk about quite a bit in my photography lectures that I do for camera clubs is that it seems such a shame that we talk about locations that are over photographed, almost as if you can't go there anymore because somebody else has already done it. Well, I'm very much strongly of the opinion that's absolutely crazy, because there's hardly anywhere left on the earth that is yet to be discovered and photographed for the first time. So as photographers, our challenge is really to get out there and make the most of it and find things for ourselves and put our own spin on locations. So I've come today to a completely new place, somewhere I've never been before. I actually just downloaded a walk quite by chance onto my phone, so I'm following that walk today. It's not very long. It should just, normal time it's about a 2.5-3 hour walk. It'll probably take me about 4 or 5 hours, of course, because I'm stopping to take photographs and do videos as well. So let's crack on, let's get down to the first location that I've got in mind. But like I said, I've never been there. I don't know what I'm going to find when I get there, and it'll be as much news to you as it is to me as to whether we come up with a great photograph. So let's see what we can do. Well, I can see why Mr. Turner only took a sketch. If the landscape was pretty much the same as it was now, then there's no way he would have sat down here with an easel and tried painting out in the wild. There really isn't a lot of space. As you've just seen, there's a very small patch of slightly slippery, muddy ground where I can take my photographs from. But that's the whole point of today's video, really. That's the whole point of today's trip out for me. It's the fact that this is what real landscape photography is about. It's about discovery. It's about getting out and doing things and going to places and seeing things that you wouldn't normally see. Now, I've never been to this location before, so everything I photographed today is brand new to me. And as you can see behind me, there's a bit of mist in the background as well, a bit of early morning light which is illuminating it quite nicely. So I don't want to waste any more time. I want to crack on and get this photograph done before it sort of changes and that mist lifts. Right, let's get the camera set up. Apologies, I wasn't really able to excuse me, I wasn't really able to film whilst I was actually taking the pictures, because the weather conditions are changing quite quickly and I didn't really want to run the risk of losing the mist that we've got, because it's really quite beautiful. It's just started to fade a little bit now, which is a bit of a shame, because there is another composition that I want to take, and I've probably left it a little bit late. It's been a little bit of a challenge taking this photograph, because the bridge that I've got in front of me and the water is really quite dark and in the shadows, and it's backlit. So the background is in danger of coming out overexposed, so I've been bracketing quite a bit. And when I come to put those images together, I may even have to combine a couple of exposures in Photoshop and see what we've got. So that's absolutely fine if we've got to do that. But because it's been such a high range of exposures and I've wanted to sit my camera at f11 and keep my focus the same, I've been doing that by varying the shutter speed. So the speed of the water isn't necessarily what I want it to be to get that effect. So what I had to do was put a filter on the front. So I've put a 3-stop neutral density on, and I've taken a range of bracketed exposures, exactly the same again, but just using slower shutter speeds. I think I've got one at about 2.5 seconds, but I think it's more likely that the pictures I've taken around the second mark are probably going to be the ones which actually end up being used. But we'll just have to see what happens when I finally look at it. It's a little bit disappointing because my foreground's not quite as good as I'd like it to be. I may need to crop that out a little bit just to tidy the image up, but we'll see. And you know, I'm looking at a fairly narrow sort of 16:9 ratio composition, and I've set my camera up to actually record it in that way. But when I look at it at home on the back of the camera, I may even crop it a little bit narrower. Well, I've got one other composition that I want to take, so I'm going to show you this image and probably the next one I'm going to take together before we head off somewhere else. In the end, careful exposure control in the field meant I didn't need to exposure blend. I cropped the fallen branch out of the composition. It was distracting. I never finished editing this picture. I find it too heavy on the left hand side, and the twigs breaking into the frame distracting as well. What do you think? Maybe you could put some comments below. Well, I was quite pleased with that. Completely brand new location, never been there before. A little bit of mist, some nice lighting, and yeah, worked out really well for me. I think the only fear I've got at the moment is that I may have already taken the best picture of the day and had the best lighting of the day, but you can never tell, you just never know. So as I said before, landscape photography isn't just about going out there and, oh crikey, that's a bit bright, isn't it? Sorry, if that bit seems a bit disjointed, it's because the sun's coming out and the exposure went all wacky. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, landscape photography for me isn't just about coming away with the best picture and doing nothing else. It's about the exploration of the outdoors. It's about getting there in the moment. It's about sense of discovery, of finding new places and new things and new experiences. And I don't want to experience those through the internet, through YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. I want to get out there and do it for myself. So practice what you preach, Mr. Northmore. Crack on with the walk, see what we can find. I've got to be honest, I thought today's photography had pretty much finally come to an end, to be honest. But this is one of the things, isn't it, that when you're out in a new location, you don't know what you're going to get. You've got to take it as it comes. Although I could see that this location, this walk that I was on, had great potential, the lighting conditions were really sort of letting me down. It's become really bright and contrasted. There's not a cloud in the sky, which, although it's beautiful for being outdoors in and walking, it's probably my least favourite conditions for taking photography. But I've come around this corner, and in front of me there was just this sudden burst of colour. I think they're beech trees, and they're down against the very straight, dark pine trees of part of the managed plantation that's in here. And just this smattering of colour in there really attracted my eye, and it's backlit as well. So it's going to create some problems when setting up the camera because I'm shooting directly into the sun. But the potential is phenomenal, so I'm going to get the camera set up and we'll see what we can do. Taken a few different versions of these photographs. I'm not quite sure which ones I'm going to use, because just now the sky was really quite bright. I mean, I'm still shooting into the light, but the direct sunlight now on the trees are a lot less than they were. I'm not sure which one I'm going to prefer, because originally when I was taking the picture it was a very contrasty scene, but it did really lift and bring out those colours. I've put a polarizing filter on just to sort of see if it helps, and I think it did. It does a little bit, but not a huge amount. But nevertheless, I'm going to take a few pictures now with the lighting as it is. Though of course my exposure settings now are completely different than they were before. I'm going to do this as a 5:4 crop, just to sort of give me a little bit more strength to the image. I always think that if you shoot it a 3:2 crop, sometimes it looks a little bit narrow. I'm using the 2-second timer, just so I avoid touching the camera whilst it's exposing, and I'm also bracketing 2/3 of a stop. One more for luck. Okay, there we are. So hopefully that'll come out. It'll look pretty good. I chose to edit one of the raw files with a softer light. I increased the saturation of the orange, desaturated the green slightly, added a neutral density graduated filter from the top just to complete the image. Well, I've had a great time today. I really enjoyed the outing that I've had. I found some nice new locations, a nice new walk, although it was a bit muddy. Ruby looks absolutely plastered in mud, so she's going in the bath when she gets home. But I would like to have taken a few more pictures today, but it didn't really work out that way. But having said that, when I come back to this place, if I come back when there's some nice backlighting, some more thicker fog and mist, these really straight sort of ramrod pines which we've got about us, with the more sort of native woodland speckled in between, and makes for some fantastic woodland photography. So it's definitely a place I need to come back to. The objective today, was to go out, find a new location, not research it before I came out, and have a good walk and try and find some new locations and new things, and just all about discovery. I've certainly taken away from today how enjoyable that can be, how unpredictable it can be, but you obviously got to be prepared to come out and accept the fact that you may come away with absolutely nothing. But we haven't done that. We've got some great images, and I'm really pleased. So if you think that would help you, take that advice, get out with your own cameras, go to somewhere completely new. Don't look it up first, just explore and enjoy what you're doing. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel. Share it amongst your friends, and I'll be back next time with another video.